Hello, I'm Dave Callaway. Welcome to this edition of Waycross Magazine. We are at Mary Street Park. We had a meeting about 3 weeks ago at KD's downtown about the possible toxic chemicals in our community. I've invited Joan McNeal to come, and we're going to introduce her, and she's going to tell you what has been happening. We've got a web page we're going to put up and a phone number. If you need more information, please give them a call. Thank you for watching the Satilla Faith Channel.
Since the meeting at KD's, we've had great progress and trying to figure out what is contaminating our community. As most of you know from, if you came to that meeting or watched the presentation that was done from the meeting, we have a lot of sick people around Mary Street Park, and now we're finding out that we have people affected in other areas all along the canal system in Waycross. The canal system is actually a creek. It's Tebow Creek, but we have a lot of runoff that goes into that canal system. Anyway, we've had a lot of sick people. The things that they've gotten sick with are everything from neurological problems, breast cancers, lung cancers, kidney problems, renal failure with that, and liver problems. Since we first made this public, we started out talking about the 7-ounce Superfund site, which is located at the end of McDonald Street here, just 3 blocks from Mary Street Park. That was it was a wastewater treatment facility that was only in operation for a couple of years, but unfortunately they didn't properly dispose of that wastewater. And we have evidence that they actually put that wastewater into the creek or the canal system. That site was called 7 Out. It was later declared a Superfund site by the EPA. And the EPA has now agreed to, or has now reopened that case. So that's one thing that we've accomplished since our original meeting 3 weeks ago. We are waiting on a report from the EPA which will specify what they intend to do about this site. We hope that they plan on testing. This is so important. We hope that they plan on testing the local residential areas for the same chemicals that were found at that 7-ounce site. There was benzene found. We actually did soil testing right here at this park and found some of the same chemicals: benzene fluorethene, benzene anthracene, all kinds of benzene products. And these chemicals, what we believe has happened is that these chemicals have migrated in the soil down to these lower level residential areas. And when it rains, these chemicals are being washed up out of the soil, and when they get washed up out of the soil and the heat hits them, they become airborne. And when they become airborne, they turn into a gas. And that gas is causing a lot of problems. That's one of the major reasons for our sicknesses. The gas also leaves behind a small little particle that floats around in the air, and when people inhale or ingest those little particles, that's when the tumors and the masses and the cancers start growing. So this is very, very important that the EPA go ahead and get this residential areas tested, because even though we've tested one sample, we just don't have the money to do all the proper testing that needs to be done. So that's an update on where the EPA status is. The EPA has said that by Matthew Huser, who is the EPA coordinator, has said that by next week he hopes to make that public for us to view. Additionally, we have had a Freedom of Information request in with the federal government to give us access to all the files and the chemicals that were originally sent to that 7-ounce Superfund site. We first made the request and we asked for a fee waiver. the fee waiver request was denied, and they came back originally and said it was going to cost us $2,700. Then they lowered it down to $400. But we still don't even have that money with the amount of money, the other things that we need to do. So we actually sent them a letter back and requested again that they waive that. We appealed that decision, and now they have recently come back and denied our appeal request to waive that fee waiver. So I have a request for everybody listening and viewing this. I would request that you call Jack Kingston's office or the President, the White House, and on our website, silentdisaster.org, we have the Freedom of Information Request Act request number, and we would ask that you ask the President and Jack Kingston to intervene and allow us to get those documents without cost. Knowing what chemicals that our people have been exposed to in this community is vital for them getting the proper care. And so this is so important. We have a lot of sick children, we have a lot of sick adults, and proper care is foremost in this situation. The other things that we have done since our meeting 3 weeks ago is we started trying to raise some money. And the purpose for that money is to do some testing ourselves alongside of the EPA and the EPD. We think that is important just for our own sense of knowing that we're receiving accurate information. The community feels like that they have been kept in the dark a lot, and I think, you know, us raising some money to do our own testing will go a long ways in making sure that we all feel comfortable with what the EPA and the EPD brings back to us. So we have set a goal for $6,000 to raise. It was originally $5,000, but we raised that to $6,000 because we have a lot of people in the Ruskin community that are also seem to be affected by the similar symptoms, and we've seen some of the same similar looking chemicals coming up in that area. So we want to test there also. So since setting our goal at $6,000, we've begun to raise money. We have a group out at the Grand Parsons Festival this weekend that is handing out information and literature, and they also are, you know, have a jar where people can donate. We've set up a website, and the website has a space on it where you can donate money. There's also a link on the Facebook page, and the Facebook page is called South Georgia's Secret Killer. Those two sites have a lot of informational stuff on them. But we would request that anybody who's willing to donate, just $5 or $10 can go a long ways in helping us to make sure that we have the proper testing in this area. And I am very concerned about, you know, the families and the school out in the Ruskin area, and we really need to raise some additional capital to test out there too. So that's another update I wanted to give everybody. The last thing that I really want to talk about is on the website, silentdisaster.org, there's a section that says, "Are you affected?" And in that section, there is a place to register if you have had any of the symptoms that are common in this. And so I want to just kind of go through some of the symptoms that a lot of the people here have experienced. The very initial symptoms kind of seem like you're lightheaded, you have some equilibrium problems, you may experience some slight dizziness, not having a good memory, you know, short-term memory seems to be affected. You may start to experience some esophageal problems and stomach problems. You may become allergic to things that you've never been allergic to. Other symptoms, initial symptoms, are cramping in the legs. And this is really important for our children. I want you to, parents, pay attention to this. You need to pay attention to your children. If they're feeling and having cramps in their legs, don't overlook those symptoms, especially if they're occurring in connection with other things like stomach aches, sleepiness, okay? Sleepier than normal, headaches. Those are signs that you parents need to be aware of. And if you see any of these symptoms in your children, we ask you to go to the website and register. And adults, go to the website silentdisaster.org under the Are You Affected section and register. We're going to ask some simple questions like, where do you live at? Have you been diagnosed? If you haven't been diagnosed, that's okay. There's a place where you can tell us your symptoms. This will help us in two different areas. One, it will help you because as we find out what chemicals are specifically affecting or what chemicals we think may be affecting you, we will send you information about those chemicals that you can share with your physician. So that's one very important reason to register. The second important reason is because it helps us to identify the areas that need to be tested. So we ask you, if you're sick, if you're having any kind of neurological problems, lupus, fibromyalgia, if you've had cancer, breast cancer, kidney cancer, masses developing. There are a lot of families around this neighborhood, right around the park here. There's at least 2 houses on, and there's only like 4 houses on each side of the park. So there's like 2 houses on each side of the park that have affected people with masses. I personally had masses in my leg, my thyroid, and my neck. So we do ask you to get registered. Let us send you some information, and we just pray that God would continue to bless our effort that we're doing here. You know, this community, Waycross, Blackshear, downtown, for years, guys, we have been seeing our sick family and friends, and we buried quite a few of them. And if you're like me, you have prayed, and you've asked God, and you've said, why? Why is this going on? Well, I think God has answered our prayers. And He is showing us what is affecting our community. But now we have to do something with the information that He's showing us. We have to make sure that this gets corrected and stopped. And so I pray that you will unite with us to help us stop. We have to stop all of this. Anyway, my blessings to you all.